Thank you, Mike. Hello, this is Lunchtime Favourites today. We've come to the UCLan Sports Hall in Preston, which is where the annual Lancashire Science Festival is taking place. It's open to the public. Once more, it's free to the public, and there's loads going on here. I've been meeting a few of the people involved and hearing their favourite tunes, and still to come, I'll be introducing you to a science communicator, John Wood, finding out which experiments here are making the loudest bangs and bringing you some more great tunes, including Katrina and the Waves, The Vapors and De La Soul, all before midday. Lancashire Outdoors tomorrow is at the Silverdale and Arnside Art and Craft Trails, so that means Stephen Lowe is taking a break from farming and tractors for a change and getting all arty and crafty. So you can also take part in his programme on the Red Rose teaser and choose your favourite One at One tune. That's Lancashire Outdoors tomorrow from 11 on BBC Radio Lancashire. John Wood, science communicator. I'm saying his name because he's been singing along to that song. That was Mustang Sally, of course, Wilson Pickett. But this is one of your favourite songs. John, you're my next guest here. It's a pleasure to meet you. You've enjoyed getting involved today, haven't you?
Yes, I have. I've been here for a couple of days now, and I love the festival atmosphere. I think it's wonderful, and it's just been beautiful to take part in that.
And you love singing?
Yes, it's good for warming up the voice just before I've got shows a little bit later on. So
you were warming up your voice then, weren't you?
Yeah, it's one of my favourite songs. I actually won at karaoke many years ago at a very serious neuroscience conference, and I was just told to look after my American delegates, and they didn't want to sing when it came round to the conference dinner, which bizarrely took place in a karaoke restaurant. And I said, "Can I do this?" And they went, "Yes, by all means, please be my guest." And at that stage, I happened to step down off the stage, and I had three of the world's leading neuroscientists behind me singing the harmonies behind it. It was just the best experience, and they were delighted with the champagne that we won as well.
So you won?
Yes, I won. Much to my colleagues' distaste, who actually were very good singers and sung in bands and all that sort of stuff. I won. Yes, Ride Sally Ride. It certainly did that night.
Just tell us how your career began, because you're a science communicator. What does that mean?
It means I help people translate their research into things that everybody can access, and sometimes that is through the medium of storytelling. So we all learn very complex things when we're young. We learn languages, we learn moral codes, all through the stories that we hear. And yet, as we grow older, we forget that we can teach people using those very same things. So I like to take ideas from science, demonstrations, and wrap them in a narrative, and just provide some context so that people can understand them.
Again, it's like I was talking to Joe earlier about how science has become trendy, how it's changed, and that's helped from people like you who are helping to bring it alive and kind of make it a little bit theatrical and make children and scientists and adults interested.
Yeah, indeed. Only last night we had a science Ceilidh. In fact, that's neuroscience. That's bits of talking about the brain and how our brains work and how our immune system works and things like that, all through the medium of a Ceilidh and various movements of the dancing representing what we're doing, and that was wonderful.
Now, was that after the science cocktails that happened for for delegates as well?
No, actually, it was before. I always find it's best not to mix dancing and cocktails at the same time. That's a bad combination. So we did the dancing first, and then yes, the science of cocktails followed that. So again, it's just a medium that people can use to be able to share the science behind the everyday things that they come across, like cocktails.
Now, I believe that you're going to be doing a demonstration and talking a little bit later, so tell us about that talk and what time's it's on. Can you remember?
I've got a show at 1:30, which is basically the transition between alchemy and chemistry. So it's a little bit historical, really. We're this year celebrating 350 years of the oldest dedicated science journal in the world, and I think that's something that we should celebrate in a very big way. Later on, about 4 o'clock, I'm going to be doing doing one that's about the science, the chemistry, the biology, and the physics. It's all happening in your pantry, and you don't realise just how much science is in these everyday things that you can go home and do. Those are the things that I love, really, sharing stuff that you can go home and do. Really simple demonstrations, but put in a way that have a nice story with them.
Oh, wonderful. Sounds great, doesn't it? Now, tell us about your next chosen tune, because this is don't tell me this is another karaoke song. We're not going to be hearing you. I mean, we can hear you sing if you want.
No, I can't sing the songs for this one, because literally it's too good a tune, and I couldn't do it the respect that it deserves. It's Katrina and the Waves. The story is, many years ago I was working in a hospital doing microbiology like Joe was, the previous speaker, and we used to head off surfing, camping for the weekend, and we would sing this song when we got there, Walking on Sunshine, badly, but we would also sing Martha and the Muffins, Echo Beach, because that was what we called our local camping beach, and it was more of a beach than anything else. So yes, this was for Beck Prince, who I used to go camping with.
The Lancashire Science Festival
with BBC Radio Lancashire,
live from the University of Central Lancashire.
It certainly is, and there's so much going on now. I don't know if you remember, last we heard from Georgia. She was looking at a mind control car. I set her a challenge. We've got another challenge to set her in a while, but she has rejoined us, so you weren't in there playing all that time. But what was it that you saw then?
So basically what it was like a scale electric car, but it was controlled by a headset, and it was basically controlled by thoughts. And well, to be honest with you, it didn't go very well for me. Other people, it was racing around. I got the headset on, the car didn't move, so there must not
Maybe you were thinking about it too much.
Overthinking.
Well,
there we are. Not a lot going on in there. That's probably why.
Oh, well, let's see what your next challenge is. Joe, what's the next challenge for Georgia?
Might sound a bit unusual, but I'm going to challenge you to find a roller coaster and ride it in the show floor.
Oh, off you go. Find the roller coaster. She's off. And there we go. George is off to do another challenge. And I'm back to John Wood, who is my one of my guests here. And John, just tell me what's going on there where that big crowd's forming.
There's an awfully big crowd. I think some of them are about to become dino food, because we have some dinosaurs. No, I'm not kidding. Dinosaurs. Dinosaurs are about to be roaming around and coming out of their lair for their regular feeding, and they're going to be patrolling the grounds looking for small children.
There's an ice cream van there. Is that their food?
Dinosaurs might like ice cream. I don't know. What I need is some sort of specialist in dinosaurs around me. No. Joe, can we find one?
Joe, well, let's find a dinosaur specialist who see what they like eating. Let's go to another of your chosen tunes now. This is a great tune, and you've put. The reason why you've chosen it is because you were reminded about it because you were walking through Manchester. Now, your job takes you all around the country, doesn't it? You're not actually from Lancashire, are you?
No, I'm not from. I'm from the Midlands. But yes, a couple of weeks ago I was in Manchester for a conference there. I say conference is basically an excuse for science communicators. Let's say that properly. Science communicators to come out and play. And I think that's what's quite nice. We all share our ideas and things like that. But yes, I was up there and I saw a poster for this band, and it took me back to their first album. And their first album was one of those ones that sort of got me out of this idea of all music had to be, long striding stretches and long hair with guitars and things like that. And this was one of those lo-fi things. I think what it encouraged people to do was people like me to go away and make music at home. And it didn't matter sometimes that it didn't sound perfect. It was the feel, it was the rhythm of it. And this was one of those songs that was really quite special to me. And it's one of those that you cannot help just starting to shuffle at as well.
Enjoy.
3, that's a magic number. 3 it is.
No more, no less. That's a magic number.
There we are, the magic number, De La Soul there. What a blast from the past that was. And I tell you what, we were bopping along to that. I apologise, anyone who might turn up to the Science Festival here at UCLan, if they're heading to the sports hall where a lot of the activity's happening, if they go past some crazy-looking people who are dancing along, it's us. It's Radio Lancashire, because some of these songs we're bopping along to and singing along to. Do you sing in your talks as well and dance?
I have been known to get people up and dancing certain scientific concepts. Yes, one of them was about the science of how an MRI machine works, and that's quite fun, because you get people up and you get them to be hydrogen nuclei, and they spin round, and then you sort of pretend to knock them over by bombarding them with radio frequency waves. It's really quite fun. I like to think of it as telling science through the medium of expressive dance, which confuses people no end. I haven't done much singing. I did once get up and sing "I'm a Science Girl in a Science World" on the stage at. That's getting some funny laughs. I know what you're thinking. Yes, no, I sang that on stage at the Green Man Festival in Wales just a couple of years back.
Have you always been a science communicator as such, or did you have another job when you left your studies, studying microbiology? Did you do something else?
It's a funny thing. I moved straight from school and I went to work for my father's building business, and I did that for a couple of years until he was taken unwell. But I missed science, so I went and got a job as a laboratory assistant in a hospital. I worked in the NHS doing microbiology for 10 years, and then I left, went to work in the water industry, did parasitology, looking for bugs in the water. Then I went to work for a university in my city, my local city, where I went as a technician, and I was a teaching technician, and I worked there in doing psychology and neuroscience. And it was while I was there that I realised that I enjoyed teaching school kids more than I liked teaching undergraduate students. Is that a wrong thing to say? But I did, and so because of that...
Is that because school children might bombard you constantly with why, and that they're interested?
There is an element of that, but also I think it's something that might have helped me find an answer to what I really wanted to do when I was younger, if somebody had done that to me. So for me, it's kind of an idea to be able to pay that forward to another generation, to encourage them to think you can do all of these things, boys or girls. You can be a scientist. You can choose a topic that you want to do and learn to study it and learn to enjoy it, and then share that passion. And I think by encouraging people to share that passion, then you've also got that idea to be able to, encourage them to take up that mantle as well and share the passion for science.
Wonderful. Well, I'll tell you what we'll do over the next hour of the programme. People who are coming out of this building who might be going to have a look at the dinosaurs and things, we'll try and catch up with a few of the children and find out what's inspired them today, because there's lots of inspirational experiments going on. And we'll also find out from Georgia a little bit later how she got on with her last challenge. But for now, your next tune taking us up to the news at midday. It's one again I've not heard from for ages. The Vapors, that's a very scientific kind of title for a band.
It is, but for me there was one line in this particular song where it said, I want a doctor to take a picture so I can look at you from inside as well. And it did remind me of all those times in my previous job where I was sitting there in front of a screen in an MRI scanner looking at pictures of brains and collecting pictures of brains and people's brains doing things as well. And yeah, that's what we used to do. It was neuroscience, so we used to do that an awful lot, and that's the one line in this. And also it's my fascination with foreign cinema, particularly Japanese anime and things like that. That's one of those things I've always loved.
Loving the Red Rose County.
On air, on your mobile, and on your PC.
This is BBC Radio Lancashire.
Coming up in the news, a Lancashire...